Am I the a-hole for telling my mom that I will respect my dad's girlfriend more than my stepdad? Plus update. Original post. Backstory. My 17 female mom, 45 female, cheated on my dad, 46 male, 7 years ago with my stepdad, Alan, 50 male. I was 10 at the time. I knew that my mom had another boyfriend that made them get divorced. My dad was devastated to say the least. My dad fought hard to get custody from my mom because he did not want to lose me at all, and he did end up getting 50-50. Ever since my parents' divorce, I hated my mom. I hated that she hurt my dad. I remember my dad drinking himself to sleep after the divorce. I was 11 and had to push him out of the couch and clean his vomit. I saw what my mom did to my dad, and my stepdad was also to blame for it. My dad did clean up and started to make changes in his life and became a good father figure for me, but he still suffered from the aftermath of my mom's infidelity. He was finally in a better place now, and he has worked enough to build a relationship with me too. Suffice to say, the relationship I had with my mom never recovered. I hated going to her place and watch her play family with some random guy. She never made an effort to keep our family together, yet she happily became the loving wife to him. I hated him too. My mom tried really hard to make me forgive her. She said sorry and apologized. I never missed a chance to remind her that she was the one who broke my family. It will make her cry that her own daughter wants nothing to do with her, but I didn't care. I would lock myself in my room the entire time and not come out. I was always loud and clear that I don't like my stepdad, even though he also tried to make it up to me. Any gift he would give me, I would just give it away. Then last year, my mom, Ellen, and I had a huge fight. I called my mom a cheating whore who destroyed my family. I also called Ellen a homewrecker and said, I hope your own sons get cheated on too, so that you know what the pain is like. Ellen screamed at me that he is tired of my antics, so I left their house and went to stay with my dad. I thought it was so unfair that my mom lives happily ever after, and my dad was left behind to pick up the pieces of our broken home. That's when my dad sat me down and told me that I should have never talked to my mom like that. Sure, she made bad choice, but she's still my mother. And then he told me he forgave her, and it is for the best that I forgive her because it will make me free. My dad went on to explain that in his therapy he realized his marriage had problems. He thought that just because everything was going on a routine and there was silence, he took it as a sign that everything was fine. However, he learned a lot about relationship and himself over the last 7 years and has tried to become someone I could look up to. He then told me he is dating someone else and he is happy with the life he has now, though there are some triggers. I was happy to hear that my dad was doing okay, and it made me realize I was being irrational. I'm still mad at my mom, but I decided to give her a chance. I said sorry to both my mom and stepdad. I also said sorry to my stepbrother and my half-brother. Things have been calm and cool for a while. I met my dad's girlfriend. She seems awesome. She has 2 kids who are under 10, and though she is much younger than my dad, I didn't care. As long as dad is happy, I'm happy for him. So a few days ago, I was chatting with my mom and I brought up the fact that I met my dad's girlfriend this week and she seems nice. My mom's expression changes. She went from having a smile to frown. She says, I didn't know your dad was dating. I said I didn't either, but my dad is taking things slow. I told her she is really nice and cool. My mom then lashed out and called me a hypocrite. She said that for years, her husband and her have been trying hard to make me forgive them. They went out of their ways to make it right, and I still didn't accept them. But I accepted my dad's girlfriend in a heartbeat, and suddenly she's this cool step-parent. I was angry too, so I blurted out, at least she didn't cheat on my dad like you. I also said that I would never accept my stepdad as a good human because he's the reason why I grew up in a broken family. That I do not owe them anything after how they treated my dad. That I respect my dad's girlfriend more than I respect them because at least she didn't cheat on him and left him to pick up the broken pieces of our family. In fact, she is the reason why dad is happy now, and she will always be above my stepdad. I then stormed out and stayed with a friend. I know I shouldn't have said that. I mean, firstly, my dad and his girlfriend has only been dating for 6 months. My mom and dad were married for 13 years, and I felt like I oversold their relationship to mom. But I feel like an a-hole for how I worded it. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Actions have consequences, and your mom was wrong to end the marriage the way she did. I have no empathy for her or her husband. That said, given your animosity towards your mom and her husband, I am curious as to why you were over at their house. At 17, you are of an age where you can choose what parent you want to live with. Why would you willingly subject yourself to such anger-filled encounters with two people you despise? This is not a healthy environment for you, and especially for the other kids living there. That is their home. Those are their parents, and they don't deserve to have their home turned into a war zone by you when you could just stay away. My dad said it is important for me to maintain a relationship with mom. He thinks every child should have a mom. I don't go there often now. I mostly live with my dad, but my dad insists I go there and build a relationship. May not be the same situation here, but I hated going to my father's. We would have drag-out screaming matches, where I would be calling my mom at 1 to 2 a.m. begging to be brought home. She stopped making me go, and my dad brought her to court over it, where a judge called her a horrible mother for allowing me to make the decision to not go. I was 14, almost 15, and I was informed by the judge that if I did not attend the mandatory visitation, that my mom would be held in violation of the custody agreement. So, I had to attend until my 18th and never went back. Mind you, the court-appointed therapist told the judge for my own mental/emotional well-being, I should only have to see him 1 day every other week and work up to maybe an overnight a month. But judge gave him every other weekend, from when I got out of school on Friday until 8 p.m. Sunday. The screaming matches continued but would keep going on until he called mom demanding me to be picked up. She would then make him email her this, so it couldn't be held against her. Not the a-hole. She hurt you and her actions destroyed the relationship between your dad and her. I get that, but I feel like I oversold my dad's new relationship to her to make her feel bad. I mean, I don't know if my dad and his girlfriend would last forever, or that she will not cheat on him later in life. Mentioning that your dad has a girlfriend isn't overselling, unless there's stuff you left out, like gushing about how the girlfriend the best mother in the universe or something like that. That would be overselling. Imperfect analogy. If I casually mention that a new coffee shop opened and it upsets you, then I'd say there is something bothering you that causes that reaction. Not me saying that I want to try the new mocha they invented. Well, it was slipped in a conversation. She asked me what I did that weekend, and I told her I went to meet Dad's girlfriend, and she seems really nice. That was all. Now for the update. This is not a very exciting update, but a lot of people have shown me love and support in this community. Also, I need to address one thing. Many people criticized my dad for being an alcoholic. Well, he is not an alcoholic. He hasn't drunk in 6 years. I did mention that he drowned his pain in alcohol when my mom cheated and after the divorce, but he stopped when he saw me trying to clean up his vomit. I know he was wrong, but he has done literally everything to make it up to me. He went to rehab and threw away all the alcoholic drinks in the house. He went to therapy and worked hard on his career. He even got me to therapy. He has apologized for his toxic behavior and also that he tried his best to keep our family together. He has always made an open space for me to express my feelings. I feel safe with him. I trust him. He never badmouthed my mother in front of me. Yes, he still suffers from anxiety, but he has it under control. I hated watching his and our lives getting uprooted. So I don't think it is fair for you guys to blame my dad only when it changed for me. He came clean. He stopped being an alcoholic. But tell me this, can my mother undo her infidelity? Also, I know their marriage had problems, but is cheating the right thing for her to do? And I haven't mentioned a major thing. That is, my stepdad and my dad used to be friends until the discovery of my mom's infidelity. He cut him off his life too. So yeah, you can imagine the pain both me and my dad went through. But I'm proud of him for keeping his head straight. So now the update. I talked to my dad and arranged therapy for my old therapist. I also suggested that we need family therapy as well. My dad fully supported me and said he will look into it. Lastly, I called my mom to say sorry, but instead, my stepdad picked it up. I asked for my mom, and he said that mom has locked herself in their bedroom because she's angry. My mom has this habit that whenever she's mad, she locks herself in a room. I asked why, and he said that they had a fight about my dad. Basically, my mom had a hint that my dad was dating someone few weeks ago when he saw him at a local market with his girlfriend. At that time, I knew he had a girlfriend but didn't tell mom. She took the liberty to track her on Facebook. I don't even know how she got her ID. My stepdad has caught her several times looking at my dad's girlfriend. There were pictures of dad and her too. So their argument was that my mom was basically obsessed with my dad's girlfriend and has been stalking her. My stepdad said it's best that I do not speak to her for a while because she clearly has some issues of her own. Well, I don't know what to say. Some of you told me she was jealous that my dad moved on, and this could just be it. I may or may not post any further updates. So until then, see you guys. I will be in therapy working things out on my own. Edit? For Pete's sake, people. I am really getting tired of people messaging me and commenting that my dad was a deadbeat dad who used me as a nurse. Some of you are so cruel that you guys think that my mom made the right choice by cheating on him and leaving him. To you, I have nothing else to say. You guys are just a bunch of triggered owls who only wants to blame the victim here. No, my dad was not alcoholic throughout his life. It only happened when he confronted my mom about her affair. It only lasted for like a year. And no, he didn't make me clean his vomit. I saw him covered in it. So I cleaned him myself and then he woke up and saw me. I don't know how many times I have to repeat it. That was the first and the last time it happened. You guys only see this part, but there is so much you don't know. He was the best dad that I could ask for, and I wouldn't trade it just because one time I had to clean him up. I don't care now, because my dad has cleaned up my vomit numerous times when I was sick, and he did it without complaint. I cannot believe you guys are so pathetic that you are only fixated on that part, and not the part where he actually cleaned himself up and made a better place for me. He was not a deadbeat or abusive in any ways. Deadbeat dads don't put their daughters to therapy and fight hard for their custody. It's fascinating to me that OP is here posting to vent about her mother, and apparently people are piling in to tell her how awful her father is. Just because that one time she cleaned his vomit, he is a deadbeat dad and a bad father. God, I remember I took care of my dad when I was 10 years old. He didn't ask me to, but I did it because I love him. In a way, this kind of reminds me of the post where the husband cheated on his wife with a younger woman, then left her after having a breakdown when he found out his ex started dating a family friend. Only this time, the mom cheated with a family friend and is now having a breakdown after learning the dad moved on with a younger woman. I get the impression OP's mom doesn't think much about anyone beyond herself. She took the easy way out for marriage by cheating, rather than addressing whatever issues they may have had. She's been pushing OP to drop her animosity toward a homewrecker husband without putting in the work, like going to therapy to repair her relationship with OP first. I think Ellen telling OP not to call her mom is going to end up creating a bigger issue between them. I feel like it's very telling that OP's mother had a breakdown, not over her deteriorating relationship with OP, but over the man she cheated on and divorced, dating a new woman 7 years later. Dad put in the work to create a better situation for himself and OP. I don't understand the hate toward him in her comments. Spot on. OP's mom may have apologized, but it doesn't sound like she understands why her daughter has been unable to move forward. Gifts don't validate people's feelings. They can seem like a cheap gesture to buy someone's pain away. The fact that her mom wanted OP to call her affair partner dad is absurd. She already has a dad. And also, her trying to create a family picture with the exact same setting show how little she cares about OP. She's only concerned about her Disney life, where people suffer no consequences. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepdad I don't want his last name? This discussion happened 2 weeks ago. My stepdad brought up to me, 16 female, that we could change my last name to his if I wanted to have the family name instead of being the odd one out in the house. He also told me he would love to share his last name with me and that I might not be his daughter by blood, but he always considered me his daughter. I told him I didn't want to change my last name, but thanks for the offer. He said we could have the same last name though, and I told him I didn't want his last name, that I loved my own last name and wanted to keep it. The story of our relationship is as follows. My parents were divorced by the time I was 1, and my older sister was 8. My mom met and married my stepdad within 18 months. She and my dad shared custody of my sister and me. My stepdad came into the marriage with no children and had 3 boys with my mom, no girls. My sister was older and never saw him as more than mom's husband. He did try, but I think he realized early on that sister had decided what they were and never pushed. But he was more invested in trying to become a second dad to me. There were many times it makes me uncomfortable, once I was old enough to realize what was going on, from the age of 5 pretty much. My dad died 4 years ago. The last year of his life, he spiraled after my grandparents. His parents died in a car crash, and then my uncle died overseas within few weeks of each other. He turned to drugs, and he died within a year. My sister and I were devastated. We both adored our dad and our paternal family, and we lost all of them within a year of each other. My sister got married last year and asked me to walk her down the aisle and dance with her. Stepdad also felt slighted that he was just listed as mom's husband and not a parent in the digital book thing he supplied everyone with. I think all of this has led to this moment. He and mom both expected my sister and I to see our dad way differently after he turned to drugs, and especially when he died because of them. But he was still my dad, and regardless of that last year, he's our only dad and was a great dad to us in the years before that, and I believe he still loved us both. My stepdad didn't like how I turned down his offer. He told my mom about the offer and what I said, and both of them sat me down and I said I was too dismissive of his feelings, and that I should have given it some more consideration. He told me he's here and he loves me, and he wants to feel like he won't be pushed aside for the rest of his life by me. My mom said I might love my dad, but the way he turned out that last year, I should see that he wasn't perfect, and be more willing to meet my stepdad for a more enriching relationship. Am I the a-hole? Also, yes, I am in therapy. Now for the comments. I have a special distaste for partners and step-parents that push themselves into a parental role to a child without regarding the feelings or needs of the child about it. And I am not even a big fan of parents who are permissive of their partners doing that. I'm sure he's probably a decent guy, and he means well and he cares very deeply for you. But you decide who he is to you, not him. If he cares about you, he will need to understand that this isn't about him, not the a-hole. That's how I feel about him in this. I don't think he's bad for wanting it, but the pushing is too much and is leaving me with a bad taste in my mouth. Don't let yourself be gaslit into something you are uncomfortable with by people you love, even if they mean well and even if you care for them. You're going to resent them for it eventually. So aside from being pressured into stuff you dislike, you're not even really doing them a favor. Not if their chief concern is for you, which, if you care about being seen as a parent, it should be. Thank you for saying that. I'm doing my best to stay firm while not acting out.